Okay, so what other parts of the academy did you not pay attention in?
Probably just that one and stopping cars.
You and I are about to go into the courtroom and listen to the cross-examination of a critical state witness in a DUI case. Now, this is a motion to suppress. We've already heard the direct examination, and I've got a link to the body cam below if you want to watch that. If you already know me and you already know the situation, you can jump ahead now. If we haven't met yet, my name's Jeff Lauder. I'm a Florida-based attorney, and I use my unique experience in law enforcement to help people when life happens. On this channel, as well as other platforms, I share my experience in law enforcement as an attorney, as a military veteran, and just my overall thoughts to help people get a grip on their life, a grip on their legal situation, and get the best possible result. If that sounds like something you're interested in, hit that subscribe button. Love to have you. We're about to go to courtroom, but let me introduce you to what's going on. My client was found around 10 o'clock in the morning in the parking lot of a liquor store by an officer. Now, this was a community service officer. She called over some other officers, and my client was eventually arrested for DUI. He cooperated with the investigation, refused to do field sobriety exercises, and then provided a breath test. I'll be releasing those results in a future video on the breath test issues in this case. In this particular video, we're going to break down 2 of those issues. Let's jump into it now.
Good morning, officer. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
You mentioned that you have no experience in DUI or detection of DUI. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you go over a little bit of what your role as a community service, is that the proper title, community service officer?
Yes.
Can you give it a little bit more about what your role and what training is you got in that role?
So we attended the police academy along with regular sworn officers from June 2013 to November. Our title, we come out of Florida State Statute 316, 640, 3B or 3 or 2B, but as traffic enforcement. But also we're trained to handle regular report service calls such as missing persons, stolen property, things of that nature.
So you handle, I guess, non-emergency calls?
Yes.
Is that a good way to describe it?
Yes.
Traffic crashes?
Yes.
Probably not involving death or criminal charges?
Yeah.
Accurate?
We can handle traffic homicide, but as far as if it goes into criminal, a sworn officer would take over that.
And you mentioned you attended the police academy. Is that the standard police academy that all police officers attend?
Yes, Valencia.
All right. And so that's a 6-month academy?
Yes.
And do you take the same state exam that police officers take?
No, we don't. Only up to a certain point because we don't take high liability, such as firearms and defensive tactics. I think it's police department just sends us to get more training just to have a broad overview of what the job's about.
And as part of that academy training, a portion of that is DUI, correct?
Correct.
So did you not attend that portion of the training academy?
They sent us there. We attended it with the class, but we didn't really have too much focus on it because that's not something we would deal with in part of our job.
So my question is, did you go through the curriculum for the DUI block?
Yes, it was part of the curriculum.
And did you take a written test to complete that curriculum?
I don't remember.
Did you, if the other students took a written test, would you have taken the test?
Yeah, we take a test, yeah.
So you attended the exact same training that the regular police officers do in DUI?
Yeah, but I didn't pay much attention because I'm not a sworn officer, so.
Okay, so what other parts of the academy did you not pay attention in?
Probably just that one and stopping cars because that was part of the curriculum as well, but we don't stop cars, but
Okay.
we were just there.
You conduct traffic crash investigations?
Yes.
And part of that traffic crash investigation, you need to make a determination whether someone's under the influence to determine whether to pass that off, correct?
Yes, if they're medical or something. Yes. So if a person is coming to me slurred, I can go, okay, let me just get somebody here. I'm going to call the fire department first because it could be medical.
And working for the city of Orlando, one of your capacities is to be a witness in cases, correct?
If I have to, yes.
Which I guess by necessity brings you here today, correct?
Yeah.
And some of those things that you would witness would be, or potentially be a witness to, as in today, is a DUI investigation.
Yes.
So during your academy time, you didn't think that this would come today?
No, honestly, I didn't think that I would ever be approached with it, but.
Okay. Let's go back to that day in question. Do you remember the day of the week it was?
No.
All right. Do you remember being the date?
The date that she gave. I know it was in
I think it was the
December.
day after Christmas. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Okay. The vehicle where it was parked is on private property, correct?
Correct.
At the Mall of Millennium.
No, it was at Total Wine.
Okay, that
Off of
general area.
Millennia Plaza Way, yeah, kind of in the area, yeah.
So general area of a different building structure.
Yes.
Okay. And do you have a body camera?
No.
Do you know if any of the other officers that responded to the scene had a body camera?
Yes.
Have you had a chance to review that body camera footage?
This morning.
This morning? Okay. Do you recall, with the way the vehicle was parked, other traffic was able to get around it, correct?
So it's like a two-way. I don't know if my hands. It's a two-way, but if one car is coming down, let's say eastbound, and you had a car trying to go westbound, they would have to go into that eastbound lane, and that could cause a crash because of how that car was not in that parking space.
Did you see any cars there?
There were other vehicles parked around.
Right, but did you see any cars obstructed by the path while you were there?
At the time while I was there, no.
Okay. Let's talk about your car. So you parked your vehicle somewhat near his?
Yes, when I was flagged down, I drove up and just kind of parked in the, I guess you would call it like a westbound lane.
Right.
It's perpendicular to his in a way.
So behind his car, perpendicular?
Not behind it, on the side of the passenger side, kind of.
So a right angle, triangle?
It's a little straighter, but yeah.
Okay. And describe your car that you were driving that day. Is that a police car?
Yes, it was a Chevy Impala that I no longer have.
Okay. And what's the difference? How would someone know the difference between you as a community service officer and a police officer vehicle?
At the time, those cars, it actually said police on there and the community service officer in smaller writing, but it had the basic blue and yellow that our cars had at the time.
If you didn't know any better, would that be a little bit confusing, whether you were a community service officer or a police officer?
No, because it said police on the car.
So it would be confusing, or it would not be?
What do you mean?
If I looked at the vehicle, would you suspect police car? Is that what I would think? Or would I
Yes,
think,
because
that's
it literally said police on the car.
The lights on there, are those red and blue?
No, I don't have red and blue.
Okay.
Our lights were, at the time, like a red and white colors.
All right. And did you activate those red and white lights that day?
No, I don't believe so. It was an emergency as far as where I was going towards because I was able to get there quickly. I can't remember if I had on my side lights, though.
All right. When you walk up to the car, it was partially in a parking spot, correct?
No, I don't know if I could do a diagram, but it wasn't fully in a parking space. It was more in that aisleway.
Well, right, but it was partially in the parking space.
Like a third of a way in.
Okay, so just trying to get a picture for the court.
Yeah.
It appears as though the vehicle attempted to park but stopped halfway in the parking process.
Yeah.
Is that a fair depiction?
Yes.
Okay, third halfway somewhere.
Yes.
Okay. So it wasn't sitting cattywampus, it was on the way into a parking spot, stopped.
Yes.
You approached, or did you call in on the radio that you were flagged down?
Not initially. I wanted to first go see what was going on in case maybe the person was on their phone or just wasn't paying attention. I just wanted to make sure. But when I saw that he wasn't responding, it's like, okay, let me call medical first.
And then he eventually responded.
Yes.
Followed your commands.
Yes.
And what were your commands to him?
To turn the car off because I was scared in case he would take off or something or do something. I just wanted him to turn the car off. And
did you tell him to put down his window?
I don't remember. I may have.
Did you tell him to open his door?
I think so. I may have.
Okay. And if he's waking up and he looks over at you, what is he seeing? What type of uniform? Are you wearing a polo and a polo like you're wearing now? Are you in a more formal uniform?
I'm in a more formal uniform.
Okay.
Yes. Like I said, it's a French blue color. Like it's like our regular sworn officers. It's just a different color. And then our patches, it says no police, but it says civilian on the side.
Okay. Quick look. You think police officer?
You'll look. Yeah.
Do you wear a gun belt as well? A pistol
I wear
belt?
a duty belt. Yes.
And no gun?
No gun and no cuffs.
Do you have a badge on?
Yes, on the old school uniforms. Yes.
Very quickly during your conversation with him, he indicated, "I'm okay," or something along those lines for the video, correct?
Yes.
Soon thereafter, the other officers responded.
Yes.
And officer eventually conducted an interview of you, correct?
Yes.
You recall that interview?
Not word for word, but yes.
Do you recall telling him that you didn't recognize any indicators of DUI?
He asked about the smell, and I just said it smelled weird. He thought I said weed, and I said no, weird, because I just couldn't figure out what that smell was.
And after that, do you recall him asking any indicator of DUI and you saying no?
I don't recall.
Would hearing that questioning refresh your recollection?
Yeah.
Your Honor, may I play a portion of a dash cam video?
Yes, ma'am.
So what the prosecutor is getting prepared, I'll lay a foundation for that.
Okay.
Officer ended up arresting my client, correct?
I left before anything else happened, so I'm guessing he got arrested.
Okay, and that.
Yeah.
Okay, the assumption, I guess, you don't know for sure.
Yeah.
And as part of that investigation, he conducted an interview of you, correct?
Yes.
And that interview was recorded on his body camera, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The video you see here, I have paused. Do you recognize that area?
Yes.
And the vehicle to the right side of the screen, is that your vehicle right there?
Yes.
The vehicle that you're assigned?
Yes.
And then that's you back there and the photograph writing on a clipboard?
Yes.
And that's the uniform you were wearing that day?
That day.
Hey. No, I just saw you down the total lines employee flagged me down and told me that he was parked like this, but the car was still running. So when I got over here, I was knocking on the window and he wasn't responding, so I banged and banged, and he finally opened up his eyes, and I pointed to ignition to turn it off. So then he finally figured out how to turn the car off, and then I told him to open up the door, and I asked him if he was okay, and he was like, yeah, and I said, what happened to your steering wheel? And he said, I was in an accident yesterday, but my wife was coming. And I asked him if he remembered how he got over here, and he didn't answer that. So I was like, okay, but that car was on when I got over here. It was parked, but it was on.
Was it in the same position it was in now?
He hasn't moved it.
Nothing's moved.
The only thing he did was just turn it off because I asked him to.
Okay. And did you have any observations of him maybe being drunk?
No, it just smelled weird in the car.
You smell weed in the car?
Weird.
Oh, weed.
Like,
Yeah, I'll Typo rotate that for you. That's cool.
And one of the guys,
Does that refresh your recollection with regards to your conversation about any indicators of drunk or DUI?
Yeah.
And did you have any indicators?
Just that he smelled weird.
All right. So at the point in time when you were asking him questions and he says he's okay, you were still there by yourself, correct?
Yeah.
I have no further questions.
There's a lot we can go over in that cross-examination, but I want to limit it to two different things. One, I want to talk about the statutory authority of a CSO, and I want to talk about police training at the academy in DUI. All right, so let's pull up the statute here. We're going to Florida State Statute 316-640. So we're going to type in 640, and that brings us down to, it's a search feature. We hit Control F to get there. That brings us down here to the enforcement. So remember, 316 is the chapter in Florida that enhances or deals with Florida traffic statute. This statute authorizes the police departments to create traffic enforcement officers that are allowed to enforce traffic laws. The police department of a chartered municipality may employ as traffic crash investigation officer an individual who successfully completes the instruction in traffic crash investigation and courtroom presentation through the STEP program, approved by CJST and NHTSA. So what is that? The STEP program is the law or the program they started to train the red light camera officers. They have to go through courtroom training and they have to go through selective enforcement. So as long as a person has completed those two requirements, then they're authorized to be a community service officer for the purpose of investigating crashes. So you got to complete these requirements, complete the NHTSA requirement, but they do not otherwise meet the uniform minimum standards established by the Commission for Law Enforcement Officers or Auxiliary Law Enforcement under Chapter 943. So these are not police officers. Any such traffic crash investigation officer who makes an investigation at the scene of a crash is authorized to issue traffic citations when, based upon personal investigation, he or she has reasonable and probable grounds to believe the persons involved in the crash has committed an offense under the provision of Chapter 319, 320, or 322. I think that's a typo. in preparing this case, I looked at it. 319, chapter 319 there makes no sense. 319, I don't know. So if you got an answer for that, why 319 belongs there, and I'm making a mistake, I think it should be 316. I think it's a typo in the state law. This paragraph does not permit the carrying of firearms or other weapons, nor do such officers have arrest authority. Okay, so she can issue tickets at the scene of a crash. That's it. That's what this statute authorizes her. That's what she was employed for. And different departments take different takes on that. They expand or limit the officer's power. Many agencies will expand that crash investigation power into burglary investigations or petty theft investigations or criminal mischief investigations. They'll expand it out to over with crimes that just require a report. Other departments cinch down on that and they say, hey, you can't work a traffic crash unless it happens in a parking lot. So different agencies and different departments read this statute with different degrees of latitude. Not required for her to know. But she sat through the training. And that leads to our second problem. If the training is such that someone can sit through it and demonstrate a mastery of the topic on a written performance test and score a passing score and perform a practical exercise demonstrating a working practical roadside knowledge of the test material and then totally not remember it when it comes time to testify in court, I'm not mad at her. I'm mad at the symptomology there of what this means for other police officers. We got to dive deeper into this. She took the same academy class that the police officers take. She wasn't required to, so I'm not mad at her. I'm not mad at the police. But this is still a problem that a full service police officer could go through portions of the academy or all of the academy, satisfy the written test requirements, satisfy the practical examination qualification requirements, and still not know what the heck they're talking about. To say, well, I wasn't really paying attention for that part. But they passed. So now they're on the road as police officers, doing the job of a police officer, and they don't have the basic level of understanding. It's a problem. Hit that subscribe button. Check out that body camera video. You got to understand it. Closing it out here soon. We're going to move on to the Second Amendment. Hit it hard, guys.